won't bite. Oh, God.
I'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. All the board members are in attendance. Superintendent, business manager, and Phyllis is absent. We have Dale Badham here to sing the flag pledge.
To thank everybody, I'd like to thank Wayne for asking me to come up and do the flag song. So.
Do you have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Almost.
Second by Shelley, second by Linda. All in favor?
Yes.
We have Sage Fast out here to address the board.
I'm Sage Fastdog, and it's always important to address and with who I am, because that's just the way we grew up, and that's what makes us who we are as individuals, and so and plus I see some of my former students in here too, so it's always good to model that. So I come two things. The first one is I wanted to see if you would want to have a work session, or just what are your ideas on discussion of community-based schools, which is the current it's the current Senate Bill 66. As a parent, as a community member, it interests me to have a bill like that in place. And if it does come about, and when it does, a community member like myself is ready to apply for a school like that. I'll have all the applications ready to go. So I would like to, if you're interested in work session and that sort. So that's number one. The second one is just a follow up on, I came back in September. President Boyd had given me a written response based on what my asks were. I asked about what's the progress as far as an academic plan in response to the state report card. And the part of that too is like, where does the Ocheti Shakoni essential understandings fit in the academic plan, the curriculum in response to that? And right now, the Department of Education is saying districts have the will to do it. They said that it can happen in the districts. But I'm telling them there's no authority yet. I'm just asking about where that is. Really want to know, because I have my son's a freshman in high school. My second to the youngest is out in Lakeview. You know, they're doing good out there. They're really doing good. I see their scores, I talk with their teachers, and they have room for integration. I see that they've really found out through their formative assessments, or through their formative tasks and their summative pieces, they're able to find out what's working for them. And so then they're ready to integrate into spaces, so they're not worried about missing standards, they're just worried about making sure that the content sticks and the skills, there's transformative skills. And my youngest boy, he's in elementary school, elementary. Just want to know where it's going to go besides. And we've been pretty good with being placed with the teachers that are be able to accommodate to his, to watching on me, basically. And so I'm wondering, outside of that, if he was to, say, go to a different classroom, what would that look like? Is it easy going to find that space in one class, or is he able to find that in other spaces too? What I'm looking for is like, what is this school-wide response to that? What is this in the school culture? That is, just as a parent, I really would like to know what the pathway is as far as college for my oldest too. So those are my concerns as a parent. I know that second one, there's a whole bunch in there, so there's a lot in there, but nothing has changed from my original document that I did submit, and I'm just asking for more feedback from, President has really given me a lot of feedback on it as to, we're working on it. So it's been since September. I would like to see something as far as like, what does that look like right now that we're in, going to be March here. Thank you for giving me this time. Really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions on it.
I do have one stage, this work session, do you see it? I mean, we'll talk about it, and the work session, could you see us answering both questions in a work session? I mean, after we have a conversation about it, because we can't answer everything right now, and then, I mean, give us time as a board to come together.
I would think so, yeah, that's the board can do that.
We could talk about it, something like that, and go from there.
I got a question for Sage. Could you go into detail on, I saw on Facebook where you guys got your first step. Could you explain more what that entails?
I don't have Facebook, so.
Well, you guys got approved from the first step when you're.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so that's the candidacy for accreditation. So like, just like the state, you have a candidacy for it, and then you have to go through a process where, as you have to prove that you have accountable governance, you have a school design plan that has a academic plan, and it has all the curriculum in it that are meeting the state's standards, and that you have a safety plan, crisis management, everything to operate a school. So the candidacy says that you're official person, a part of the candidacy, and within a year you'll have that opportunity to become accredited. or they'll say, well, we need this, we need additional,
Information.
documents, verifying that you met our, accreditation. And it's the commission of the Ocheki Shakui, accreditation. And their accreditation is very similar to the states, because you'll have to have, highly certified teachers, and you'll have to have you'll have to have a governance, accountable governance. The only thing that's a difference between the states and the Ocheki Shakui is the Ocheki Shakui has a cultural component. Say the Ocheki Shakui Essential Understandings, it has that component designed in it, so that if your school is getting accredited by it, then it has, it's embedded in the curriculum. Those standards are embedded in the curriculum, and you're gonna probably see it within the school culture. It's gonna be outlined for what's probably gonna be, you're gonna probably see it in the mission of the school too. How they're gonna meet, how they're gonna meet.
And it comes up on Wednesday?
So Wednesdays, when this bill will go to the Senate floor for the community-based schools. And with the accreditation process, I'm hoping to have met a lot of that at the end of April. I've already got a lot of the school design process already in place, the governance in place already. All I need to do is just have people come walk through the school, but I can't do that until my school's open. And once they're able to view it and see what I've got in place, and I'm able to get accredited. So I'm working to the point where it's gonna be successful, and that kids won't have to worry about if they were to go to a different school that they wouldn't be accredited. So I'm keeping that in mind and foresight and the whole plan of this, and continuing to, to help our kids in our community here. Largely, hopefully, to discuss more how we can work together in our discussion.
Thank you.
Michelle and Linda, you have any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have no one else signed up on the board. Presentation 5-1, Cheryl and Cindy? Yes.
Cheryl's gonna do the presentation. She's working with our head grant, our travel ed department grant that we got, and so had some notes so I don't go off. So we introduce ourselves as, I'm Cindy, I'm the travel ed director, and Cheryl, education specialist. So we got a grant, a tribal ed department grant from the Bureau. We're on our 4th year of the grant, and they extended it another year. They had extra money for other tribes to use it, so it's an initiative for the federal government for us to kind of take over the line offices that they're closed down. Reba Sherwood's office is closed down, and all across the country they're closed down, and they turned them into resource. They call them resource centers. So our region will be in Kyle. They haven't put it up yet because we had a lawsuit against them to try to keep those line offices open, but we lost our lawsuit. So we're having to conform to what they want to do, and so they gave us these grants as a way for us to exercise. So we got a small grant from our line office to provide technical assistance to our tribal organizations of St. Francis Indian School and the Dorm and the tribal ed department. And Cheryl's working part-time for that and part-time under the general account. And then we got the tribal ed department grant that allows us to practice, to build our capacity for tribal control of education. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do for going on 10 years, I think, is to update that education code. It's like 20-some years old, I can't remember, 24 or 25 years old. And so now we've got that written with, under this TED grant, and we're editing all the changes that were made, and then it's gonna come to this body again. It'll come for your, presentation and any kind of input that you guys might, that wasn't put in or that you might find beneficial within those sections of the code. So we've hired, Janet Routson to do the editing and take it through the judicial system of the tribe. It should be done by August, ready to go. If everything works out, but in the ed code, there's a portion of it that asks for cultural curriculum, and that's done, and that's what she's gonna present. So with this grant, we got the money to get this code done, because we're working with NARF as well, and it costs money. So that's how we're funding this. They paid for the printing of that, and they're paying for half of, not half of her grant, but half of, another. And in there, we have that orthography, within our education code, we have that orthography, which is a guide, and you guys are allowed to use whatever you need to use, LLH and Lakota Language Consortium, whatever it is that you need to use in St. Francis, it's anything, but we have the orthography as a guide for the future, so that so we can preserve the way the language was written or pronounced by our tribe, specific tribe. And then, part of that grant too is some of the work, is that there's accreditation piece, and that's what Sage was talking about, that COSA. That COSA was initiated by all the Great Plains TEDs, tribal ed directors, and so we all are part of that committee. And so we have about 4 or 5 schools right now. I'm really happy that we're doing our school and stuff. So Sisseton has one of their tribes, and Pine Ridge has Sisseton has some of their schools, tribal schools, and Pine Ridge has some of their new schools. The middle school, tribal school, now we have ours with Sage's school that he's starting. And so that's what this is allowing us to do. So right now, this is a draft, pass around, you're going to pass around where you can look at it. The draft, and we're working with Sisseton, Wahpeton tribe as a publishing institute that from their A&A grant. So it took a kind of while, it took about 5-6 months to get this from them because we weren't their priority. They had to prioritize their projects, and they didn't edit it, so there's some blemishes, but we're just using them. They have draft on them, so we're using those right now to pilot. We wanted to pilot 4 schools, but we had a lot of interest from County schools because you guys are so large. But our priority is St. Francis Indian School, and then of course Todd County, because the majority of our kids attend Todd County, so we're piloting it. We're originally going to do 4 schools, and we're doing 6 now. Out there till the end of the school year, and then we'll collect them. So Cheryl will talk about how that's gonna happen, and then it's K-12.
So good evening, everybody. Good to see everybody. I feel at home here. Lydia Whirlwind Soldier is the one who wrote the whole curriculum for all grades. So we have the curriculum is K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9, 12. And we also have like a PowerPoint presentation and a training guide that we're gonna go over with the teachers. And I have some of those already scheduled. This curriculum is similar to the Ocheki-Shakowee standards. There's 5 standards. It's not the same exact standard. It's worded a little bit differently because we had to do that because of the copyright stuff. And then there's 2 additional standards. 6 is health and nutrition, and 7 is Lakota Society Today. So those were added in for the kids. Every curriculum is set up exactly the same way. There's an introduction, there's major outcomes. Why is Lakota studies important? Brief historical overview of Indian education, methods and approaches to cultural studies, cultural iceberg, information, cultural design, framework. There's the 7 content standards, which are Lakota philosophy, tradition, culture, and social customs, the kinship system, land-based and natural resources, Lakota history, tribal government and economics, health and nutrition, and today's Lakota society. So every one of those books it's exactly the same setup, but the activities and the lessons, depending on the grade, are different because of the different age levels. The goal of the Lakota curriculum is to build a cultural foundation for our Lakota students. And it teaches the students appreciation for their culture, because we all think, I think that's important, I'm sure all you guys do, because a lot of our kids don't know who they are, they don't have an identity, they're not proud of who they are, so this curriculum is gonna help the teachers teach that to the kids. And I did present this to the principals, and a lot of them were very excited about it, and they liked how it was organized, because it walks you through the curriculum, so on a teacher's perspective, where the teacher can take that book and they can teach to the kids. That's how easy it's gonna be for them. It also addresses diversity in American society, the acceptance of cultural differences, and it provides knowledge that raises teachers' consciousness and respect for students in their native identity, culture, history, and language. And so, with this grant that Cindy had, then Lydia Whirlwind Soldier was hired, and it took her a while to get all that done, but it's finally done. That's a draft form. Like we said, we found mistakes in it, so we're still using it because we did print off a lot of them, and we're gonna have teachers give us their input on it, and then Lydia will go back through the books when I collect them in May, and she'll look at what they're saying, and then maybe add in, like if someone said, well, can you add in this activity, then she'll add that activity in for them. Or maybe this activity isn't appropriate, or whatever they think. She wants their comments as teachers, because they're the ones that are gonna be using it. The feedback. So we'll have an end of the year survey for them, and then I'll come around and I'll pick up the books. While they're using it, I'll be available. I told them they can call me. They'll be able to call me. I can come in and work with them. You know, I'll probably check on them every 2 weeks, come into the different schools. So right now we have, alternative school. I gave theirs to them today, and we went over the PowerPoint and the things they need to know. On March 13th, there'll be the Todd County Elementary with Oak Creek, and the rest of the alternative schools. There's 2 teachers over there. And then in the afternoon, I have Hedog and Rosebud will be coming. I'll go down to Rosebud to do that with them. So those are the schools so far that are involved in it.
For the spring, and then in the fall, we'll start with the rest of the schools.
Yeah, we'll get the high school, the middle school, and everybody else in there. And this also is for St. Francis Indian School as well as White River. So we want it to be for all of our kids and all the schools. And it's a really good resource. You know, a lot of teachers say they don't have resources. Well, there it is right there for them. And
I just want to say that Lydia was freaking out today, and that was her earlier, that she was gonna retire, but now she's got some energy to keep on going with doing the language. This is cultural curriculum. It's aligned to the Ochete Shakowee, because she was part of that team, and it's aligned to the Common Core, and it's aligned to the ed committee, the ed code, that's just wanting us to cover all these different subject areas. But I told her, she said, I made an announcement to our office that this is 7 years in the works, and it actually was started 7 years ago when she was working with us. And then, I remember, Lydia, you had to go be a councilwoman for 3 years, so that's counting that 7 years. So
and then her
then she
computer
came back,
crashed. Her
and then the
computer crashed, and she lost a whole bunch of the
about half
curriculum.
of it was
So then
lost.
she had to redo all of that again.
It was completed, when she went to council, it wasn't completed, she came back and it was completed, and we had that computer crash. And it was not, IT wasn't able to save a lot of things, and so she had to rebuild it again. And then one of the reasons too, this printing is a little bit, isn't perfect the way that she thought it was because she kept adding on to her computer. She kept thinking of ideas, and I was like, no more. If you're gonna write any more, then start a new chapter. We'll have to make sure we start a new whole chapter.
But we didn't send the right draft to the printer either, so.
Yeah, because it was put on flash drive.
But, you know, we're really proud to have that for you guys, and that all of our kids, and it's, like I said, it's teacher friendly, so it's And that Ocheki Shakoi is supposed to be being taught in the schools anyway, so this is gonna be helpful to everybody.
It is, this is really exciting.
Yeah.
Let Lydia know that we're really glad she's worked so hard for us.
So now
She
she's
was
doing-
paid by the tribe, so the tribe paid her the grant, just as paying for the printing.
And she started on, a Lakota language, so it's gonna be for beginning and then intermediate and then advanced, so
Then she'll retire.
she got her second win. Just kidding. She got excited, so.
But she's not able to, participate in the training and stuff, so we moved Cheryl into this position and then she can help unveil this and stuff, cause Lydia's having some hearing problems, so she don't want to do presentations and stuff, so she's trained Cheryl, and the PowerPoint is the training manual. When she says PowerPoint, it's supposed to be the
Well,
training
there's
training.
there's a PowerPoint and it has training on it.
Yeah. But she developed that it's been about 9 months. We were waiting and waiting, we were promised this in November from Sisseton, and we didn't get it till January. But Valentine, we do all our business with Midland, but they don't do color. So we went to support another tribe that did the color, but we weren't a priority on this.
So the second.
They have their own projects, they're doing all kinds of stuff, just like LLC, they've done all kinds of Dakota work.
So the second handout I passed out to you was a webinar I attended on Friday. We went to a meeting in Pier Thursday, and then I attended this webinar on Friday. And this is a new project, WOHIA,
To support the
to
Ocheki.
support the Ocheki Shakoi Essential Understandings. And if you look at the second page, it tells you what the program's about. It's a program to support teachers to become proficient using the Ocheki Shakoi Essential Understandings. And
It's they got a Bush grant to do all this work, this project, because the Lakota is the Thai group. What does the Thai stand for in Latin? Technology, yeah, so they did the Lakota project.
Yeah.
And then they utilized our Rosewood people, because we made that recommendation to Roger Campbell back in his day. And so now this is a Bush grant that's just specifically gonna do PD for teachers using the Ocheki Shakoi Essential Understanding. It has nothing to do with our curriculum that we're using, but they'll still.
no, I just wanted to bring this to you guys because we have an opportunity, you guys have, as a school district, have an opportunity to apply to be part of this if you want to. And they're gonna be picking 3 schools. And in the 3 schools, you're gonna have to apply, either the principal or superintendent will apply. They're gonna pick 3 schools, and out of the 3 schools, they have to have 5 teachers that are willing to be mentors. And it tells what the mentors are gonna do in here.
And you have to be a school that has over 50% Native American students in
What
it.
page is that, Cheryl?
Population.
It's on the second page, what the teachers will do. So they're gonna participate in training regarding the integration of the Ocheki Shakoi. They're gonna provide support and professional development after school. The mentors first year and new teachers in the schools will attend monthly meetings, and the meetings are gonna be like a Skype or a Zoom, so they don't all have to travel to Pier. So that's gonna be good for them. And then they'll facilitate projects in their schools and strengthen and increase communication within the schools of South Dakota and that office. So if you wanna apply for your schools, then they're gonna pick 3 schools out of South Dakota, and out of the school, there has to be 5 teachers who are willing to be the mentors. So say we didn't wanna put any Todd County schools in there, which I hope you guys do, but there could be 5 at large through the whole state teachers that apply. So if there's a teacher in Bobby's school or whatever that wanted to apply, Rosebud, Hedog, wherever, then they're gonna go into a pool, and then they're gonna select these 5 teachers, and then that teacher will get the training and be able to still take it to their school and teach them the things that they're learning about the Ocheki Shakoi. It's just gonna beef up your school, and it's gonna make it more beneficial for all the teachers.
So Todd County should be able to apply
So
for it as a district.
So they're gonna be called.
With your fight, and then apply
Yeah.
to your schools.
Where do you go to get the application?
Okay, so you're gonna go to SouthDakotaIndigenous.org. And when you get to that site, then you'll see where it says WOHIA project, and you click on that. And then you scroll all the way down and there's an application online. And you fill out that application and submit it. And it has to be due by March 31st.
You gotta get out of here.
So I thought it was important that I brought this to you guys because I think it's a really good opportunity. And then teachers will get a lot of PD
And I'm sure they'll grow it every year. The
Yeah.
Bush grants are usually 3 or 4 years.
We've been talking about, one of our goals is to teach the Ocheti Shakoi standards. And we've talked about changing our director of linguistics and culture position to just either director or coordinator of the Ocheti standards. So that would work really good with all of this. We just gotta get a job description.
Because there's a lot of schools out there in, the east side of the state that are utilizing this, like in Sioux Falls, and I don't know about here, but then, they've been hogging all this time with the Lola Culture project, so they saw the need to do the training component. The state probably doesn't have the money, but they're looking for the money to keep doing it.
Then in the very last page is like information, so if you guys wanna call there or get a hold of somebody, Juliana Taken Alive.
Yeah, Juliana's the new Indian Ed director that's
So-
heading this program up.
It has the website on the back. And then if anybody wants questions, I'm sure there's a contact us and a number there that, it has, on the second to the last page, Juliana White Buffalo Taken Alive is the one that presented this to us when we went to Pier.
You're talking about the SB 66 for that, charter school legislation, that's going on Wednesday again, but the, Great Plains, we meet monthly, and a different tribe hosts it, but we usually meet here, just because it's easier for everybody to get to here. We made 3 recommendations concerning the charter school, and the Ocheti Shakoi Essential Understandings, and that grant, that Native American Achievement Grant. So we made they asked us to make recommendations, 3 recommendations. The first one we made was that for them to continue that para program, where they take the paras and then they become teachers. Eventually, they are gonna continue that program, thank gosh. So the state's gonna put up that money. The second, recommendation we made was to mandate the Ocheti Shakoi Essential Understanding, but they said, no, that didn't pass. And, I have my notes on the third one. Do you remember what that third one was? They supported the, I think it was something really simple. I can't remember, but then the main thing we wanted, they don't wanna mandate it. They listened to other states that kind of followed the example that, of South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana. And they had so many resistance in Montana to mandate it. They mandated it and they had so much resistance, so. That Lola Lakota director, remember his name, he, recommended that the state not do that because they don't want opposition and resistance and whatnot, so people are just using it, so that's gonna continue that way. Because remember at one point it was supposed to be, it was gonna be mandated in 2012 or something, yeah. But after they're listening to Todd, Montana and, North Dakota, Nebraska and whatnot, they decided that they didn't wanna do that. Oh, the third one was, I think, to support the SB 66, that was the third recommendation, that they would support that. We're getting a little bit of success. We have, what's her name, Juliana's replaced Monto, had that job, Monto Standing High, and he left, and so she's been hired, and they put, her office with the Tribal Relations Office in Pier, so that they could stand more united and work together on tribal relation issues, but that takes them out of the education office. So we've been having our meetings there, and we do have a contact there. Joe Moran is our contact there, so see what happens in the future. We met with Dr. Jones, the new Dr. Chop. He's real supportive of all the Native American initiatives. And so he's writing a support letter. We got him to write a support letter for Wednesday from the Tribal Relations and the Indian Ed office and his office too, so got 3.
You guys have any questions on either one of these?
To read up on, but Cheryl, there's one question is, eventually, are you looking at providing teachers? Instead of just training, like Todd County School District, would you be able to provide teachers?
We don't have money to provide teachers.
Would you be able to look at something of the sort through the tribal education department?
I don't That's part of
We're,
our goal.
yeah, we are limited on our funding. Our funding is mostly, grants.
But a certified teacher should be able to implement this.
Yeah.
This is designed for the
This is laid
schools
out.
to use this, for the teachers in the classroom. And I took this when it was still in the binder form. Well, we have the binders video when she finished the binders and we got it ready to be printed. I took them to Rosewood Elementary at the end of last year. I think it was in April, and they were wanting to borrow those binders and use them immediately. That little group of teachers, there was Tate and Oyate, and I don't know all the other teachers, there was 2 or 3 of them, and they were like, can we just borrow this and make some copies? And I'm like,
And this was
not
developed,
yet.
Tim, so
But
it's
they're
not-
eager to do it, is what I'm saying, is the teachers that are interested are eager. I know you're.
Yeah,
That's what's been
the
lacking,
classroom's
is that
eager,
they
even,
wanna do it.
Even
like
late.
like in a laid up order and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, and Oak Creek was eager, and even Littlebird was asking us when we did a tour of all the schools, me and Rosemary, to look at, to just meet with the teachers and find out what their needs were and stuff, and they're all anxious to use it, we're all anxious to be able to present that.
But we wanted every teacher to have this, Tim, so it's not like you have to hire a Lakota Studies teacher for each school to
Yeah.
do this. Because every teacher should be able to break this out and say, okay, well, you know, we're talking about families, so let's look at the Lakota kinship, and let's talk about the Lakota kinship, and the teacher should be able to pull something out of there and be able to do it.
And there's a list of resources.
So you can integrate it easily.
Yeah, they can
Anyway,
integrate it.
and use those Wolakota resources, because they got videos
There's-
and everything.
There's
that
an
they put
area in
together.
there after every lesson where the teachers make notes in there, so Lydia will know like what didn't
And we
work
told,
or
and I
what was
told them, I don't know if
good.
Cheryl told them that they can write and cancel out.
Yeah, I told them that.
Just write on the, just write on the book and collect it, and
The
put their
alternative
name
one.
and school on it.
The only one I met with was alternative school, so I told them they can write in there and put sticky tabs in there or whatever, so when I collect them, then I know
What their
what their
suggestions and comments
suggestions are
are.
and stuff.
Really nice. These are really nice.
And they're all
Yes.
aligned to the Common Core and the South Dakota standards, so those teachers already, everything's there for them. What you guys make them do, it's already there, Tim.
That's what I was
Everything they
like,
need to know
sorry.
is there.
The worst part.
And it's designed for classroom use, for everyday classroom use, not for just Lakota language. This is integration of, this is not language, this is integration of cultural teachings in every subject, K to 12.
I'll bring them back by next, hopefully to get into some of the, in-service with the other schools that I don't get to this year.
Oh, nice.
And then some of this has a little bit of language, some of the lessons have like, just a little bit of English, so, yeah, so, yeah. Well, the orthography we used in here is the one that the tribe adopted, the one that Albert and all the people adopted, so that's the orthography that we're using in this curriculum. We're not using LLC. But I mean, whatever will help the kids learn
Yeah, I said,
the
it's
language.
not ready, so I
but-
said, see what
Oh, see, confuses me.
I think we should stick
Can we
with
give,
that.
Sage a K to 2 one?
I'm using those.
I see what we're looking at.
Sure, you have to sign out.
You have to sign out for
I
it.
do, but I didn't bring my sign sheet from the tracking down tomorrow. So that way I know where they all are.
Because we didn't really have enough. We don't have enough for every,
There's some pages in it that we would
Yeah.
copy for kids, most of it's just
Yeah.
for teachers.
Don't worry, we know we're on it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. All right, thank you, so I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
thank you for
Thank
giving
you.
us my support to do
Tell
that.
Lydia that we appreciate what she's doing.
Thank you. She'll be happy to hear that.
So you guys are all okay with us doing that?
Yes, definitely.
So next year, before in-service, then I'll be contacting like the high school, the middle school, and then the rest of the teachers, hopefully to get them all together and to get them so they can get going. And then you guys will get brand new books. The ones that.
Nice.
Sounds good,
Well, we're
thank you.
gonna find a local
Thank
publisher
you. I'll track you down, 'cause I have to have
right
this.
here. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, 5-2, Ms. Shelburne.
Okay, so back in December, I was scheduled to present this information to you at Lakeview School. So this You're welcome. This, I don't know, you wanna. Take one and pass it on. Sorry if I didn't go on. So I was asked to present to you guys on the state report card. And it was back in December. So you guys got the packet already that I gave you guys back then. But for this presentation, I wrote some objectives. So my purpose here today is going to be to help you find the state report cards for Todd County. I don't know if you know that yet or not. To talk about how South Dakota determines the level of support that our schools receive. To describe how the SPI score, have you guys heard that already?
Yeah.
That one's messing up, sorry. The school performance index, how they're calculated. And to identify where to find detailed and summative report cards. So let's start with where to find the report cards. So if you go to the Todd County webpage, this is the beautiful new webpage. There's Bryce Hammer. If you go to the Explore button up here, it'll take you to this bunch of links. Sorry, Miss Linda, you have to turn around. That technology's not all it's cracked up to be sometimes. And you're going to click right here on school report cards. Or you can go to the South Dakota webpage, and when it looks like this, you're going to click on this menu over here, and you click on the A to Z index, and then scroll down to the R's, and it says Report Card 2018-19. And that takes you to this screen. And when you get to this screen, you can type in Todd County School District, you can type in Lakeview Elementary, you can type in Todd County Elementary, whatever school you want to look at, and it will give you this report card. This report card is the one that you have in front of you. I just made you a copy of one of the schools. If you notice, it's the 2018-19 school report card, so it's based on data from last year. If you notice on your report card there, it says Principal Marlis Walkling, because she was the principal that year. Next year it'll say Roberta Bizzardi. In the top left-hand corner, it gives an overall score. Lakeview got 44 out of 100 points. SPI points, those are the SPI points. And that determines that Lakeview will get general support from the state, which means they really don't have many hoops to jump through at all. They just are kind of being monitored by the state. So these are the different levels. There's general support, targeted support, additional targeted support, and comprehensive support. Those are the different levels that the state provides. In Todd County, Klein and Lakeview are general support, and the rest of us are comprehensive support and improvement. So the only school that's not really identified up there is Todd County Achievement High School, because they didn't have enough students that they could share the data and not identify individual students. You know, where it shows 11th grade, one student not proficient, you know exactly who that one student is, you know, so they are really committed to protecting student privacy. So that's where our schools are right now. And so that means, if I go back a slide, that those schools, we were either the bottom 5% of the Title I schools. At our high school, they were not the bottom 5%, but their on-time graduation rate was 1% below 67. I mean, they could have been out, but. And so then once you're identified as comprehensive support, then you get support from the state for 4 years until you get out. So back to the Lakeview report card. I'll just run through this. Please stop me if you have questions while I'm running. So you say, how do they get 44 points? Well, if you click on that link there, the calculation guide, you come up with this document. And it's full of mathematical wizardry in order to come up with these points. There is a elementary and middle school SPI points, and there's a way to calculate high school points. But they're kind of similar. For example, they're both worth 100 points. They both have a student achievement component, which are smarter balance scores. And that's, they get 20% for the math score and 20% for the ELA score, and that equals 40 points. And that means kids who are proficient, who score 3 or 4 on the smarter balance. That's how then they do this calculation and get that. Academic growth at the elementary and middle school measures all students where they started and then how much they grew in a year. But it also measures, it also measures the lowest quartile. So it takes the lowest 25% of students and measures how much they grow. So they get counted at the top in all students, but they also get counted at the bottom in the lowest quartile, because they want to see how we're doing intervention-wise for those students who are scoring the lowest. So they incentivize that by giving you points to get that lowest quartile up there. And that's 40 points. At the high school level, there's a 4-year cohort graduation. They started their freshman year, they went freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and they graduated in 4 years with their cohort, with their classmates. That's 12.5 points because they took the other points and they give us points for high school completion. So that means high schoolers that complete, could have taken them 3 years, could have taken them 6 years, but they complete, so they give us points for that too, and they give us 12.5 for that. They also give the high school points for college readiness, or CTE, 25 points. See all this? I have to read it every single time in order to understand it, because it's so, they have to get some points for their ACT, they get some points for taking the CTE class. It's a rigmarole, but anyway, they get some points for that. Then both elementary, middle school, and high school get points for English language learners. South Dakota has such an influx of English language learners that they are incentivizing helping those people by giving you points for SPI too. Todd County only has 17 EL students, and many of them, all of them in fact, are English speakers. They just struggle with academic English. You know, the language of school versus the language of home or language with their friends. So, yes. Those are worth 10 points. And then school quality, this is where attendance comes in. Attendance, there's actually 3 things that they measure in school quality, but they only count attendance. And that's worth 10 points. So I told you this already, that calculation guide. See all those difficult calculations? Like how many people got a level 1 and that was so much a percent of the total, so that's it's just, if you are mathematically minded and you want to sit down with me to go over this, I would gladly go over it with you. But it is super complicated, yeah. So, back to the Lakeview report card. Student performance. If you click on this link under student performance, it's going to take you to this page. And what's interesting about this page, I'm sorry that you guys can't see that over there. Sorry. It's technology. What's interesting about this page is that it shows you where Lakeview is 23% proficient in ELA, 23% proficient in math, and under 7% proficient in science. That's what that little asterisk means. But if you click on the next part, it compares Lakeview School with the district with the state. So Lakeview School is yellow, the district's red, and the state is blue. So you can kind of see where they fall amongst some different data points like that. So yeah, ELA, math, science. But there is an easier place to read these reports, and that's the one I printed for you guys. If you click up in the corner, the right-hand corner under options, if you choose export to PDF, it gives you the summary report, which is better for parents too because it's all on one one sheet. And this is the one that's linked on all their web pages. So if you notice, they have student performance up here, they have student progress, they have English learners, and they have overall score. Of course, the high schools looks a little different because they have different categories, but it's all on this one page. And then their overall scores and the percentages they get, 25.2 out of 40 points. So the principal at Lakeview School can say, oh, I see that growth. It might be an issue for us because we only got 8.3 out of 40 points. We really want to get out of school improvement, so let's really get more points in that area. This is the demographics. This is details about the school performance, details about student progress, ELs. This is what I really stood out to me, was this piece of data. This is your attendance score, that's this one down here. Lakeview got 7.8 out of 10 points, and that 7.8 is strictly from this percentage, it's 7.8. All schools, that's how you get your attendance points. But this little piece of data here, chronic absenteeism rate, is a little extra bonus that they throw in there for you. But the chronic absenteeism rate is the percentage of students that miss 10 or more days in a year, in a school year. This attendance rate is students who are enrolled for a full year. And 78% of the students at Lakeview Elementary have been to school 90% of the time, right? 30% of the students at Lakeview Elementary have been absent 10 or more days in a school year. Now, what I find very interesting about that, this is where you can find more details about that stuff back on the more detailed page. School average, district average, state average is 92. Lakeview and Klein are our highest performing schools, and they probably range between, I can't off the top of my head tell you what Klein's is, but up in the 70s, 80% attendance. But if you look at our district, I just found some of these attendance rate and chronic absenteeism rates for our district. 46% of our students attend school 90% of the time. 65% of our students in the district miss 10 or more days. And if you notice, White River School, which is just up the road, it's also a reservation school. It's also, you know, in our area. They have 81% attendance, make 90% of the school days, and their chronic absenteeism rate, only 28% of their students miss 10 or more days. And they perform better than us, performance-wise. Eagle Butte, McLaughlin, Ogallala, some other reservation schools. Look at Ogallala, we gotta talk to them. I don't know what they're doing, but we gotta call them up. And then I also grabbed some bigger schools like ours that are bigger, and to see their attendance. But
Jane, one of the things that jumps out at me at this rate, your percentages here, is that the schools with the higher ones have higher busing issues than any other school districts. Todd County, Eagle Butte, McLaughlin, we have high busing here, and that's a big problem.
you mean amount of students being bused?
Yes.
Oh, good observation. Yeah. Does White River bus, I don't know.
They only have about 4 buses at the
Oh,
most.
so it's not as big of a organizational issue. What's so sad is that Todd County schools range from a 28% to a 93% chronic absenteeism rate. There's a school out there, and you can discover it on your own, but where 93% of their students have missed 10 or more school days. And it's super duper sad. And when you look at individual students, the ones that achieve more, or the ones that even achieve averagely, is that a word? Are the ones that are coming to school. So our teachers are working so hard, and they are, you know, teaching, and the kids who are here are getting it over, you know, by and large. But we just need to do something. We need to think outside of that box to get kids here more. Teachers need to make more of an effort to make school exciting and fun, a place they want to be, you know. the whole system needs to make an attempt to change things up so that this improves. It's just interesting to me. And I think that's it.
Interesting.
You can also find all those school-wide reports if you go to the webpage again and click on sites. And you can choose all the schools, from all the schools, which one you want to look at. It's faster than probably going to that state site and typing in all the names of all the schools. So, any questions about how to read those state report cards?
Oh, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Ton of questions, just not ready to ask them yet.
Write them down. Email me. Study this calculation guide. No, don't study the calculation guide. You'll be so confused. It's terrible. It's from the state, so that should be all you need to know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Bobby.
Well, I will start by commenting on the attendance. In the 9 years I've been a principal, there's just been a slight decline across the district every year in attendance. When I started at South, attendance was pretty steady at 93%. We only had 4th and 5th grade, and 4th and 5th grade in our building always has the best attendance of K-5. Attendance improves a little bit every year. 4th and 5th grade always has the best. But I don't know what all it has to do with. I think it's a complex issue. But from school starting until Christmas time, we had 87% attendance, and I was able to talk to Marlis using Rosebud as a comparison, and theirs was like less than 1% different than ours. We were maybe 0.2 higher, and then January and February, I mean, we have had chronic illness problems like nothing I've ever seen before. But our February attendance is 82%, and that's kids missing a full week at a time in pretty much every case. Kindergarten in our building, kindergarten and first grade historically always have the most attendance struggles, and that ranges from kids missing up to 100 days of school. So I feel like when Jane commented about making school engaging, I feel like our teachers are working their behinds off to make school engaging. I think there's a lot of factors that go into why kids don't come to school, but it's definitely something that is a challenge that is really impacting ability to move through curriculum and talking to parents of kids who are chronically absent. By the end of first grade, they've often missed almost a year of school. When you combine those 2 years together, if you miss 80 days one year and 80 days the next year, you've been out a whole year. The good news is that our staff really works together when we've had so many people sick, cooks and custodians sick, different things, and our staff really pulls together and does what needs done to provide the best we can every day. Then I wanted to touch on behavior, so I'm kind of working bottom up if you have the hand up that I sent. We have had 609 different students enrolled in our building. We hang generally right at about 565 that are enrolled, but there's a lot of mobility, lots of kids coming from the shelters and movement across the district. This year it seems like a lot of kids moving in and out of state. Only 3% of our students have had 3 or more behavior referrals. So 18 kids are responsible, though, for a lot of disruption, to be honest. So we are trying to look for alternatives to out-of-school suspension and alternatives to general classroom interactions to try to get kids what they need to be successful in school. Sometimes the academics are just not the top priority when you have some really tough things going on in your life.
What are you doing for that, Bobby?
Well, right now we're mostly, we don't know what to do about it. We have a group of students who is currently working with a couple different people pulled out of the general classroom into making kind of their own classroom. And we've seen the academic progress of those other classrooms really take off, and seeing some slow but sure improvement to the kids who were out. You know, I don't believe in out of school suspension. I mean, we have suspended kids. I like to use it as mostly how can we get families to work with us on that. I think that kids have a lot of problems, and sending them back home to be out of school doesn't accomplish much, but we definitely are seeing an increase in really challenging behaviors of our youngest students in particular. I'm sure Linda has heard some of those. So I think it's just something that the district has to be aware of. The starting point of our kindergarten students is declining each year. So we used to say that we were starting off like a year behind, but realistically, kids developmentally are showing, when you look at different indicators of development, are really consistently, I'd say 1.5 to 2 years behind what kindergarten starting point standards are. And so working harder is not going to change the outcome there. Like, our teachers work so hard.
You think you need to go back to kindergarten A, that type of classroom?
I think we need to go back to like kindergarten A, honestly, and I think it needs to be available for 80% of our kindergartners. I don't want to hold anybody back who's ready to go and ready to take off, but 80% of our kids need an additional year's opportunity, and that's what it is. It isn't about failing, it's about providing them the experiences and the appropriate developmental needs. And so it's about, I feel like, how do we market that, that it isn't a bad thing. 50% of our students do not go to Head Start, so they've not had they haven't had the social interactions before coming, and generally, you know, not any of the academics.
I was gonna say, I know Head Start's enrollment has really dropped, and they actually went from having a long waiting list to having openings in a lot of their classrooms, so.
Did you say 50% don't go to Head Start?
Yeah, 50% do not attend Head Start at all, and then, you know, the 50% who do attend Head Start, the attendance numbers are, you know, vary a lot by how much they were there. We retained the most kindergartners that we ever have last year. And when I had conversations with parents about it, nobody disagreed with the idea. Nobody refused that. I mean, you know, it's always parent input is taken, and those kids are doing so much better this year. And so I think that's the thing too, is like, it really is an opportunity to not be struggling all the time. Because one of the things I ask myself is, like, do kids miss school because school is generally hard for you know, for a lot of kids. It is hard, even when we try to provide a lot of support. So an idea, I think, is to have kindergarten A available for everybody who needs it, and it's just a lot more than what we used to feel like it was anyways. And our staff really embraces that idea. I mean, our teachers are wanting to provide the right instruction at their developmental level, and they're making a year's gain. It's just not, you know, it doesn't get to the end of kindergarten standards wise. And it would really reduce the number of kids that are being considered for exceptional ed services, if we considered offering, you know, that extra year to see what we can accomplish. So on from that, we had a winter Wachipi, and it was really exciting to see almost all students participated after we did some teaching about social dances. I know Linda was able to come to it. I know Sage was at it, with the goal of getting kids more engaged, and that worked. Our family nights have been well attended. We have another one tomorrow night pending weather. This one is health and wellness related. We've got one coming up in March that is a bingo night. We added reading interventionists last year, and that has been successful in making significant growth. We've seen some particular work in kindergarten between the kindergarten teachers and the intervention team that is really working well. And second grade in particular, lots of kids making big improvements. What that has led to though is that we have need for more intervention. Our budget didn't allow as much intervention as we need, so we'll be working on our school improvement plan, seeing what we can do with that. And we have spent a lot of time this year on teaching for independent learning, so that when kids aren't in small groups with teachers or whole groups with teachers, what are they doing that really ensures that they are learning when they're not with the teacher. We had a well-known author, Debbie Diller, who wrote these books, work with us, and she told us that she has seen more growth in our school in half a year than she has ever seen in any school anywhere. Our teachers are really excited to do the work, and that has led to helping kids work on language and OCHETI related standards independently, so it isn't just like a one-time from the teacher, but how can we reinforce that through independent work. The concern that I have with that is that teachers need like blocks of time to do the kind of planning that it relates. It really is about digging into the standards and the meat of teaching, and it's a lot of work. But our staff, everything that we have worked on professionally over the 5 years, we have really gotten better at. Our staff knows that, they recognize that, and they're all really willing to be lifelong learners. The hard part is like, how do you learn more, you know, when there's so much to do. This month we've had a focus on kindness, and I want to say back to that, you know, we have so many really, really good kids in our building, and I see kids doing things like, oh, they had a big spill in the gym at a basketball game, and they went and got the broom, they cleaned it up, doing things to help the cooks, the custodians. We had a chat about taking care of buses, and they took sacks out so that when they're stopped at the middle school waiting to load, they're picking up trash, trying to show district employees or other people when we go on field trips, different things like that, kindness. And it's really, I mean, we have so many really good kids. It's everybody who comes to our school and does any type of presentation, anytime we go on a field trip, I mean, that's what they say, like, you know, these kids are the best kids. And I really believe that, and that's why I say, like, I just feel like they need more opportunity. Our achievement, our school report card is not what we would like it to be, and they just need the opportunity of more time in most cases. Any questions?
No, I don't have any.
There's a busing over there.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, cause I know you were talking about behaviors, and from what we're hearing, like, there's several of the buses that have some.
Like classroom teaching, the driver, it varies a lot from route to route based on a lot of different things. Relationship of the driver, I think, matters a lot, and so we do have a couple routes who their driver gets switched a lot because of staff shortages and stuff on that end, and so sometimes that just leads to like the kids not knowing the person, not knowing their expectations. I myself am personally taking on we have 4 school rules: be kind, be safe, take care of our school, always do your best, and working on really transferring that now into the bus, because we see kids who don't have any problem all day long at school and they get on the bus, and I've ridden the North Antelope route, the South Antelope route, the Sunrise route multiple times this year, and they need a lot of reminders, and talked to a lot about exactly what that looks like. You know, what does it look like to be safe on the bus? I have a lot of sympathy towards drivers because they have a big task of getting kids to and from school safely, you know, and that's what I emphasize to kids is like that is their number one priority. And definitely behavior can be challenging. But even when we put riders on the bus, behavior can be challenging. The bus is like a different world. And we have done more bus suspensions, you know, to trying to talk to kids, like riding the bus is a privilege, and safety is the number one priority. And if you cannot be safe on the bus, you cannot ride it, because I think it's unfair to put the driver and other kids at risk.
On that note, one of the things we talked about recently was that when kids miss the bus or get kicked off the bus, the principals are calling for to come and get them, and we kind of put us.
I've been really firm with parents that like kids need to be in school, but that we can't provide you a separate ride. Like if Nick and Scott give you your own ride, that's like a taxi service. There's not really a consequence for not behaving on the bus if you get your own
Right.
personal ride. So we're really firm with that, and like it's hard to tell people no, because I understand sometimes that transportation can be very challenging, but we need parents to partner with us on this busing situation. So sometimes it has to be a little inconvenient. And I said last year, and I say, like, our cooks and custodians and bus drivers deserve more pay. I don't know if you can find it or not, but you know, like we have 2 cooks sometimes where there's supposed to be 4 or 5 due to you know, somebody gets moved to a different building while, you know, someone had a broken foot. Someone moves suddenly and they're doing the work of multiple people. It's tough.
All done.
Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully you can hear me. Let me go through mine quick. Wednesday's supposed to be our first job fair, weather permitting at Black Hills, so we'll see how that goes. And then on March 3rd is the Sioux Falls job fair, and that's one of the bigger ones, and we've been going there for quite some time. We've asked administration if they know of people that have said they're gonna resign or retire, that they get that information to us so we can start looking when we are at these job fairs. So the listings you have there are unofficial, but there's some of the positions we believe are open. A couple of them are open, but a couple of them we don't have the official resignations, but we've gotten verbal. USD has been partnering with us the last few years for student teachers, so this fall we have 4 candidates that want to do their student teaching specifically here. We were provided with their resumes, and the university wants us to do like interviews so that they have some of that type of experience when they come here, so that's exciting. Administration is reviewing the handbook, looking for possible changes. We're looking for leadership coaching right now, and hopefully can start that soon. Scholastic on-site book fair is like an online one, and we've sent backpacks home with books in it the last few years, but this year we're trying a process where the kids can actually pick their own books, so hopefully it's areas of interest. And we have 6 staff out at student assistant program training in Rapid City. I think they left early so they could get there. And that's like the TAT process that we've been working on. The back page of that is, Kelpa was here last week, so this is just something that she sends to the different principals that I thought might interest you for things that she looks at or for. Just an FYI for you. And the last part is when we met last Thursday, I think it was, Mr. Bartling told you about busing cameras. Yeah, so that's one option that,
This is the one that.
yeah, that he was talking about,
You see
yes.
that, right?
So you can look at that.
No, he's done my presentation, so they're gonna trade it.
So,
It's kind of like somewhere where they had the issue where it wasn't the South Circuit.
Yep.
Trying to avoid this.
Double sevens.
that's it. If you have
That's it.
questions. You can look it over and if you have questions, you let us know.
We're gonna keep you talking here, so.
Any other questions, Carol? Next, item 6, I understand that, Chair Todd will not be here until the next board meeting.
Next one.
We'll table that, move that to the next meeting. Item 7, action item, we have an out-of-state request from Bush.
Okay, I had a senior approach me in January. She got accepted to Hamlin University. It's in St. Paul. She reached out to several different places, the Tribe, TFA, Higher Ed, and the Higher Pathways grant that I applied for, and they all kind of denied her and told her, you know, ask your school. And so I thought that it would really be a good idea for me to take her and then base a trip around, or take other students so they can go see these colleges. There's one I put Concordia on there because it's close to Hamline, because I don't know how big St. Paul is and I didn't really want to drive too far with a bunch of kids, so I took the closest college next to it. And yeah, so that's what the plan is to do, to take 7 students, including myself. We're gonna travel up on the 17th. On the 18th, we are gonna go visit Hamlin and then Concordia after that, and then travel home. And I opened that up for sophomores and juniors. I talked to Mr. Hammer about it, and right now seniors are kind of getting accepted and the deadlines are due, so I thought that to take Shallon and then open it up to the juniors and sophomores would be the best idea, so they can get an idea of what they want to do with their futures. And it'd be nice to follow this senior who got accepted and kind of go into the admissions process with her while we're there.
I'll move to approve.
I just have a question, you're asking for a vehicle,
Yes.
and what else? I mean, no,
Oh, like I guess, expenses, yeah. I did apply for that Native Pathways grant, and
aren't you gonna use that funding for?
that's what I wanted to
That's
use
what it
the
says in
funding
the
for,
letter.
because they had some criteria that I had to meet. I had to advertise for a college plan, then I have to do, different things that I have to send back to them for this specific funding, so this would meet that criteria for them.
Okay, just a vehicle then.
And expenses.
Another question, are the students male and female?
Okay, that was another thing that I talked to admin about, cause, the people that are the students who initially came to me were all females, and the ones who got their essays done were all females, but there were 4 males who asked, and so I asked them, you know, if males do come, then I'll have to just take 6 students and bring a male chaperone, or do we take 2 vehicles and open it up to having 14 students? I'm still teetering with that, I guess. I don't know what would be best.
Well, if you're the one taking them, I mean, basically, and funding, will you have enough money for 14 if you choose to take 14 students?
I better stick with the 7 or the 6, and then if any of the male students, because I had them write an essay, And then I'm gonna have a group of teachers pick the group of winners who go, or the, however you wanna say it. So if there are males in there that are the winners, then we'll just have to take a male chaperone with us and take 6 students.
What is the additional cost besides the bus? What's the other funding?
Food and then the hotel room for the one night. Or not just one hotel room, but we'd probably have 2.
Do we have that covered?
Right now, she's got it covered with her grant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this isn't a,
Okay.
Okay.
I would recommend 2 vehicles if you're taking males though.
Yeah, Howard.
Who seconded?
Michelle. Who moved?
Linda.
Linda.
I'll make sure that my expenses stay within the amount that, or less than that I got for that grant.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 5 in favor.
Thank you so much.
Got me just red and nervous over here.
And I had to be the one
I
asking
know.
questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next, we have Cassie.
Hello, my name is Cassie Hardesty, and I am a senior at Todd County High School, which means I'm graduating this year. So I got accepted into this program at the Crazy Horse Memorial in Rapid City, and it offers me a chance to maintain a job and go to college and receive college credit for it. So it will help me with my freshman year of college, wherever I decide to go. I want to go to Hope College in Holland, Michigan, which I will be traveling to this week. And as of right now, I am not financially stable, so I can't just, my mom is probably my primary source of getting me to this program. The cost is $850 for tuition, and this program means a great deal to me because it's an opportunity to show that I'm serious about moving off of the reservation and creating a life for myself that I want.
I'll move to approve $1,000.
I'll second.
Moved by Linda, second by Shelley. All in favor?
Yes.
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 So we gave the last student, or we've been giving $1,000 so that you have money for your expenses, if you
Okay.
need stuff for your dorm room and.
but come and see me to get the
Travel.
registration taken care of too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next, we have consent agenda. We have a motion to approve.
Oh, one thing, Chad, on this cart,
Yeah,
you got it, most you're getting it from federal surplus, but the backup says you got it from.
no, the superintendent one would be coming from the
Capital
state.
outlay.
Okay. The director of building maintenance one is coming out.
Oh, you got two of them,
surplus.
you got 2 separate ones.
2 separate.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, just wanted to clarify that.
Moved by Shelley,
Second.
second by Michelle. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds weird. The minutes. Personnel items. Meetings and no executive session.
I had one thing I wanted to bring up. It was brought to my attention that the Rosebud Fair was put on Facebook, the date for it was put on Facebook, and that it's a week later than what we have on our calendar. Yeah, so we might want to double check with the tribe to make sure that's the case. Otherwise, if it is, we'll have to change, we'll have to amend our school calendar for next year. We have the 20s. We had that problem one year, right, and then we found out it was,
Also,
yeah,
it's the 27th.
yeah. It's usually the last.
Usually third weekend in, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it's usually the
Third weekend in August, I think.
Yeah,
We have it right
we have the third, but the tribes
Saying it's
post
the 4th.
on Facebook has it the week
Oh,
after,
okay.
yeah. So we'll just call it the tribe and find out
Yeah.
for sure.
Next regular board meeting is March 9th. Does anybody have anything else? We'll adjourn the meeting at 6:55.